Hey, everybody, we are back as H10 Hanshin Tigers English News. I am T Ray, the host of the podcast and this post podcast show. And with me by my side, as always, over here is Sanjay. Good to see you.
Aloha, brother T Ray.
Hey,
Good to see
man.
you as always.
Always like the jerseys in the background. I like the cap that you wear as well. It's a nice looking hat.
Thank you. I got it because of you.
There you go. I'm not sure how that happens, but I'm glad it happened. It's good to be a part of. So I today am wearing a jersey that actually I bought this at the same time as you bought your Nakano jersey. Of course, mine would be number 8. Number 8, right?
There you
Mine is
go.
for Sato, of course. Well, I shouldn't even say of course. We've got 2 major number 8s in recent team history. And the other one is actually the one we want to talk about in this little post-show show. That would be Kosuke Fukudome, who announced his retirement from pro ball at the age of 45 just recently. And he of course, is currently with the Chunichi Dragons wearing number 9, but we remember him as number 8 for the Hanshin Tigers. And we want to talk about him and his legacy with the team and in baseball, as well as another retirement announcement that happened just earlier today. That would be Yoshio Itoi, age 41, who wears number 7 for the Hanshin Tigers, and of course played for the Fighters and the Buffaloes before us. So let's start a little bit with Fukudome-san, who joined the Tigers in 2013. Any thoughts about him or any memories you have of watching him play or anything?
Well, gosh, I go way back to when he was a shortstop coming up for the Chunichi Dragons at the beginning of his career. So,
Dang.
I don't know how many people know that, but
Yeah, it's
that,
it's kind of little known now, I would say.
yeah. But he was one of those guys who went from playing infield to outfield and then really finding his stroke and becoming an all-star and going to the States and coming back to Japan. And he was the man, right? Anytime you wanted somebody to come through in a big situation, you could count on him. I still remember how much force he had in his oppo hits. Like he would really slam the ball into left field and beyond. So that's like what I remember most about him.
Yeah, for real. He getting back to his past a little bit though. He was, of course, a member of the now shut down PL Gakuen High School, which was just the powerhouse, right, for decades in Japanese baseball, in high school baseball. And then he was going to go pro, but I think the teams that chose him in the first round were not to his liking. And so
Mm-hmm.
he forwent that. I think it was the Kintetsu Buffaloes, as well as there was one other team that drafted him in the first round or chose him, and he chose not to sign with them. Anyhow, so he spent a year playing industrial ball,
Nihon
and then he
Seimei, I
came
think.
and
Yeah.
signed with the Dragons. So my memories of Kosuke um, actually come from my being a Tigers fan, and my first year was 2014, and the very first home run I saw by a Hanshin Tiger was his in a game against Hiroshima, and it was, I
That's
believe,
awesome.
if I'm not mistaken, it was the game winner. It wasn't a walk off, but it was a game winner. And then that same year, I went to one playoff game against the Carp. The Tigers won 1-0. And can you guess how they got that one run?
Dobe-san.
Fukudome home run. So the first 2 home runs I ever saw at Koshien by our guys were both by Fukudome. And then one of the most memorable home runs I've ever seen was also Fukudome one, and that would have been on May the 5th of 2019. It was a walk-off home run. It was one of 2 straight walk-off home runs that I saw at games that I went to. And this was one against the Bay Stars, a game that we had no business winning, at least at first. And he came up, I think it was the bottom of the 9th. I don't think it was extra innings. And he absolutely launched one into the right field stands. Like, it was a no doubter. And, if you think about it, he was 42 years old at the time.
That's pretty incredible when you really think about that number.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, he joined the Tigers, I think, at age, or he just turned 35. No, he turned 36 in his first month as a Tiger. So, a lot of people were complaining that he was over the hill, and why are we signing this overpriced bust of a, former MLB player? And in his first year, I think a lot of fans continued to repeat that refrain. because he didn't have a good first year. Fortunately for me, I only became a fan of the team the next year, so I didn't know about his 2013. But this is a guy that for 8 seasons did it, not only on the field, not only at the dish. I mean, let's face it, he was an outstanding outfielder as well, making tons of diving plays, right?
Yeah.
But not only that, he was also an outstanding clubhouse presence. And let's go all the way to last night's game and talk about that, because he didn't play for the Dragons, but it was his last time at Koshien Stadium. He came out on the field afterwards, bowed to the crowd, walked around the stadium. They played his walk-up song in its entirety. The one by, I think it's by Imagine Dragons. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. And then also, after he left, the right field stands, of course, sang his hitting song, right?
Nice.
That one. So it was a really touching moment. But then also after that, there was the heroes podium. And as we mentioned in the podcast, it was Keller, Marte, and Rojas. Well, Marte was the only one who ever played with him, but he said Fukudome was not only a great leader in the clubhouse for the Japanese guys, but also for us foreigners. So think about what an invaluable asset he was to the team. He helped all of the younger Tigers players, whether they were Japanese or not, because of his experience in America. I think he had at least some English and certainly some empathy for guys going overseas to try to extend their careers.
Sure.
So yeah, props all the way to Fukudome-san. I hope someday, somehow, somewhere, I can meet that man and at least just say thank you to him for all the good memories and for his contributions to the team. Now, let's talk about the other one who has called it a career. And that would be age 40. Is it 41, 42?
41.
41. Yoshio Itoi, who wears number 7 for the Tigers. This is another one that little known to many people. He wasn't a shortstop when he started, as Fukudome was. He was a
pitcher.
That's right, with the Nippon Ham Fighters. Just found that he didn't have it as a pitcher and switched over fairly early in his career. I think maybe after a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But still, he started his career basically behind the learning curve, right? Because if he was grooming himself to be a pitcher for all those years, and especially with a team with a DH like the Fighters, there's no way he was taking BP for his first 2 years of the team, right?
True, yeah.
So all of a sudden at age maybe 24 or 25, he's starting to pick up a bat for the first time and get serious about it. For him to get as far as he did with that bat and in the outfield, where, well, with Hanshin, he was never really a good fielder, but with Oryx he was, and I think with the Fighters he was as well. For him to get as far as he did is incredible. So my hat's off to him for that. Any particular memories of Itoi?
Yeah, I think when you look at him, he still looks like a phenomenon from like a weightlifting competition or something. The guy is still ripped.
Yes.
And so 41 or not, I mean, it's it's pretty amazing. Whatever he's, you want to call him, he's just a marvelous athlete, and I'm glad that we had him. He's also a very funny guy. So, a bit of a space ball perhaps, but we'll take him.
Right. So he made it to the WBC team in 2013, I believe, when he was with the Oryx. No, he just signed with the Buffaloes, I believe. That was his first. He made the switch right that offseason, I believe. But so he was with the Buffaloes. He won the stolen base title in 2016 with 53 stolen bases at age 35.
Wow.
Sick. And we thought we were going to get some of that action with us. My memory of Itoi is not necessarily a memory of a specific moment or game, but the fact that he sat on 299 career stolen bases for a season and a half or something like that. Like, I think it was the end of 2019 that he stole 299. And then it was sometime this season. I'm getting my numbers wrong, but it was a season and a half between, I think, his 299th and his 300th. But he made it to 300. And I think that's the end. I think he reached exactly 300 for his career. This is a guy also that never hit more than 19 home runs in a season, but typically batted 300 and gave you between 15 to 18 home runs and stole, I don't think he ever came close to 53 other than the 1 year, but he was, he stole bases. He gave you good defense. He gave you a high average, high on base percentage. And then again, the clubhouse presence. So our hats off, although I'm keeping mine on, to Yoshio Itoi for, I'll just do that. Keep my hair a mystery. But we appreciate these two guys who also, I might add, Sanjay, as someone who's also in his 40s, you know, they kind of give me that hope as well when I see them performing at such a high level at that age, that, you know what, maybe my best is still in me, or at the very least, there's still some good in me. And so, yeah, I love those two guys and I appreciate them. Any final thoughts on these two players?
Yeah, well, Fukudome is no longer playing for us, so he can't. But imagine, if you will, if we kept winning and made it to the Nihon series and won it all, then we could send Itoi off into the sunset as a champion.
There you go, the old Hanamichi, right? Yeah,
There you
the
go.
flowery road. So he leaves as champ. That would be the dream situation right there, right? So let's make it happen, Hanshin Tigers. Sanjay, we're going to wrap things up here, and again, just wish these two guys the best of luck and the best of just good things in whatever their next career is. Soお疲れ様でした。福留さん、糸井さん、たくさんの思い出ありがとうございました。連絡してください。All right, guys, subscribe, and we will catch you next time on H10 Hanshin Tigers English News. This was Sanjay, and this here is T-Ray. Peace.
Aloha.